Hello, good evening, good Monday evening, and we are tuning in to a special on our Monday Power to the People. Tonight we'll be talking to Representative Pat Henegan. She is the South Carolina House Representative for District Number Four, and we want to give a few people a little time to come on and get in here and holler at me, speak to me, so I can holler back at you. And we have my co-host who's going to be on with me permanently, and this is uh, Coach Johnson, which you guys are very familiar with. That's been keeping up with us on Power to the People. Coach Johnson, holler at us. How we doing?
We're making it. We got a lot to unpack.
Got a lot to unpack. It seems like every day something is loaded to unpack. And so,
Yes.
um,
Yesterday was the taxes, man.
yeah,
Oh man.
yes. Um, so we are committed, ladies and gentlemen. Coach Johnson and our staff are committed to making sure we get out to vote, get the registration before the deadline. So we have a double feature tomorrow, and then on Wednesday, I give the announcement of what we will. No, we just canceled Wednesday to put it with Tuesday. Um, so tomorrow is a double feature, and we'll be back briefly Friday. Um, but we are committed to sacrificing time and effort to make sure we get our people out to vote. And so we're not going to prolong the time. We're going to go ahead and bring in uh, Representative Henegan.
Yes.
Representative, how you doing today?
Fine. Thank you. And thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being with us on today. I have a intro that I wanted to give to the people,
Okay.
but I tell you what, I want to let you share a little bit with us. I have it here, and I would rather you just as an icebreaker and give people time to come on to tell us a little bit about yourself. I do want us to know that she represents District 54,
Right.
and she has been excited and ready to come and talk to the people that she represents. So,
Right.
Representative, if you could tell us a little about yourself as
I'll
people.
be glad to. Um, First, I want to start off by just thanking you all for having me on the show. I feel very delighted to be on here representing District 54, which is Marlborough County, Chesterfield, and Darlington counties. One of the things I can tell you that my motto has always been, and that's serving my community, has become my ministry. And I believe in that, and I believe that in the importance of people serving. Um, I am on as far as my committees in the State House, I'm on Judiciary, and I'm also on the Oversight and Review of Government Operation and Accountability, as well as the Workforce Committee. I am the chairman of the South Carolina General Assembly Women Caucus, and I am the vice chairman of the Black Caucus. In January, I will take over as the chairman of the Black Caucus, and then I'll be the former member of the Women Caucus. I'm the chairman of the Marlborough County Democratic Party starting this past year, and I look forward to continue serving. But I'm also the Marlborough County Coordinating Council chairman with over 45 agencies that are part of the agency. So we get the opportunity to really to support each other. I have I didn't come up in the normal ranks of being able to go to college when I started when I finished high school, and that's that I like to tell people about it. It doesn't matter that you did not start in the beginning when you finished school and was able to go to college, because I couldn't. The day that I was leaving, my mother became ill, and being the oldest of 8 children, you do what you have to do. And that was my responsibility to help her and my father to take care of my brothers and sisters. So it was 12 years before I could go to college at all. But I worked myself through my BS degree in education, my master's in education, my education specialist degree in administration, and further studies at South Carolina State University for my doctorate. So I became a secretary in the beginning at one of the schools, local schools. I worked as a teacher assistant. I was also a substitute teacher. Then I was a teacher of the gifted and talented students and the sixth grade students. I worked my way up to assistant principal and then assistant superintendent for personnel and then assistant superintendent for instruction. And later on, I worked to help the State Department of Education be able to read grants that the school districts were writing so that they could receive funds for their students. So I've been the gamut. I tell them I've been everything except the cafeteria worker and the bus driver.
Well, you definitely had a lot of energy. Wow, I tell you, you need to tell me the secret to some of that. So we're
Oh,
grateful.
and I need to mention this before then.
Yes, please.
I am an Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority member. I better say that because my sisters are out there listening.
And I know I wasn't gonna let you escape that. That was gonna be my next few words. We have a few that we work with, and they never let us forget who they are. And you guys have something to be proud
That's
of
true.
this year, and always, but particularly this year.
That's
All
true.
right. Well, we'll go ahead and jump in here, Representative, and
Yeah.
we're going to ask if you would tell us why our vote matters and who can vote in this time. I understand that you all just come out of session at the State House, and so we're not sure if anything has changed or what. So can you fill us in on
I'll
why?
be glad to. I'll be glad to. You know, the vote is the most precious, it's the most important, the most powerful, nonviolent tool we have in the democratic society. And we must use it. You know, the words of our hero, the late John Lewis, should always remind us why voting matters. And voting, people fail to understand that voting gives us power. Now, there are 30 million eligible African Americans voters that can vote in 2010. The key is not whether they're going to of the voting. The key is, are they going to vote? Are they going to be motivated enough to get out there and vote this time? 30 million eligible. And I always think about what Marian Wright Edelman said during that time. She says that people who don't vote have no line of credit with people who are elected, and thus they pose no threat to those who act against our interests. In fact, what she was saying was no vote, no power. We vote to ensure we have a line of credit with people who are elected. And let me assure you all, people recognize, people want people to vote. And because that's where your power is. Your power is in voting. And when you vote, you're vocalizing what your needs are. I tell people all this all the time. You vote your needs, your want, and what you believe in. And you are standing up and demanding to be counted. And that's where people fail a lot of time, demanding it. Now, you ask me why when you vote? Well, let me tell you, when you vote, you're voting for the president of the United States of America this year. You also voted to on your United States senators and congressional representatives. You're voting also for your state senators and your state representatives. You're voting for your state governor. You're looking at city officials, your mayors, your city council members, your county council members. All of these positions, you have a right, and you're working toward by voting. You can vote these people in. Now, if you want to play a role in choosing your leaders and changing our laws and someone who will represent your thoughts and your ideas, you're going to have to vote. And that's what I tell people all the time. You have to vote. But we're not just voting for people, and people fail to understand that all the time. It's not just people you're voting for. You are voting for other things. You're voting for affordable colleges, opportunities for your children. You're voting for health care when you vote. You're voting for climate change and environmental changes when you vote. You're voting for racial inequality because you have concerns about it, and you're voting for that person. If you're concerned about gun violence, you will vote. If you're concerned about the criminal justice system that is not fair to our people, you will vote. And I tell them all the time, if you believe in education, if you want changes there, if you want changes in healthcare, if you want changes in immigration, if you want changes with your infrastructure, for the economy, our veterans, workers' rights, LGBTQ, and your productive rights, you will vote. And what people fail to understand, and I want to make sure they do, we are facing a danger of losing our rights and our freedoms that we take for granted because of everything that is taking place now. We're losing out. We are losing out. So we have to vote, vote, vote. And one of my, the ones I work with, Representative John King, he told me the other day, and he said, Pat, he said, you see what's happening? They're purging the votes. That's an agenda that is set up. Voter ID is an agenda. Not informing formerly incarcerated individuals when they get out that they can vote. That's an agenda to stop you from voting. Not allowing early voting. Tell me why. That's an agenda. And requiring that witness signature on there for absentee ballot. Think about this. How many people will be voting? Millions and millions and millions. Who's going to be looking over there to see if that name matches somebody on there? It's a way to keep people from voting. And I tell people all the time, it's one election, this one election can produce long-lasting consequences that can't be reversed for generations to come. And what do I mean by that? Think about this. The Supreme Court. The Supreme Court. How many positions right now? New people coming on? 3. Think also about 190 other judges that has been put in place. And if you think about it, why would anyone tell a person, well, you may want to retire and we can get somebody young in there? Because they're looking out for 40 more years, 40 more years of that person being able to do what they want them to do. So, as I said, voting is power. And you also asked me the question about who can vote. Well, you're in the United States, if you're a United States citizen, you can. If you are 18 years old on or before the next election, you can. If you're a resident of South Carolina, you can. If you're mentally competent to vote, you can. If you're not confined to a prison system, you can. If you have served your time, served your probation, you received a pardon or whatever, you can. But in closing, I just want to say this, and I hope that many people really listen to this. Bad officials are elected by good citizens who don't vote on the local level, on the state level, and the national level. And never forget this. When you do not vote, you lose the right to complain to anybody about what you did or what you have to say, because nobody's listening when you don't vote.
Right. And Coach Johnson and I were speaking earlier in our preparation that, as he mentioned, and I quote, that by not voting, we actually, in the last election, by not voting, we actually voted for
That's right.
what we have.
You voted for the other person.
Right.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
You really did. And people don't realize how important it is to vote. I mean, if we had voted in that last election, and I tell people all the time, when I went back, we had 275,000 people, minorities, that did not vote in 2016 because my vote won't count. And look at it now, it didn't count.
Right.
So you're right. When you fail to vote, then you're voting for the other person.
Right. Coach Johnson, got to follow up with that particular question?
No, it definitely made me think about kind of that saying in basketball by Michael Jordan. I made every shot I missed every shot that I didn't take. So
exactly.
by not taking the shot, by not getting in the game, by not voting, you guarantee a miss.
That's exactly what happened. If you don't vote, then you definitely guarantee the other person is going to get the position.
All right.
Yep.
I like that. Now, Representative, you mentioned about the people that can vote. Now, in the state of South Carolina, can a felon or someone with a felony vote?
If they have served their time and they have either been pardoned or they have been their term of that they have already gone and been sentenced and been served their time, yes, they can.
Okay. All right. So for those that may be listening that has a relative, or you may be one with the felon, don't let anybody tell you that you can't vote. Go ahead and get registered.
If
Yeah.
you've served your time and you did your part and everything that you're supposed to do, then you need to go up there and check with the registration office and see if there's anything reason why you can't. And then if you need to, go back and get your record, show that you have completed everything that you were supposed to complete.
Okay. And you can do that with iwillvote.com. We're going to put that up at the end of the broadcast. Is one of the means by which you can check your registration. All right. And we have another question here. What have you found that voters respond to mostly when a person is running for an election?
That's a good one.
Mhm.
One of the things that I have realized that people respond to is that how you treat them. If they feel that you are sincere and you're genuine when you're coming to them to talk to them about issues that they are concerned about, more than likely they will vote. They will support you. If you're a person who's working in your community, and I mean constantly get a chance to meet people and get involved with them, like this pandemic right now.
Mhm.
I think 15 times I have been able to get food from the Harvest Hope or from the USDA. Of course, I take those cards out, but I in taking care of people, because I realize we're in a pandemic and people are not working. If they genuinely realize that you care and that you will work in your community, they're more likely to vote. If you engage them in conversations, any type of conversation where they have the opportunity to express themselves, more than likely they will vote. And one of the things I have found that is really nice, when they see that they, even in the previous election that we just had, and I was getting ready to say general, but it's not. My mind just went blank for just a second. But we just finished voting a few months ago.
Primaries.
Primary, that's what I was trying to say, that primaries. If you notice that the individuals, these young people had their little thing I voted on, but they wanted it on social media. When they see people on social media and they realize, oh, that person voted, you know, and they're in there just having a good time showing it off on Facebook, on Twitter, or whatever else they do on social media, then people want to vote then. And then another thing I find that is easier to, if you give them a card and they pledge their vote, you know, they're more likely to vote too in that case. And if you go to their home, which I don't recommend so much now, but you can make calls and talk to people about their plans for voting and who they plan to, because a lot of time people don't realize who they should be voting for and what this person is going to be able to do for them to help them. And so if you are able to help them to plan for the upcoming election, those people will vote. And I also know that when you have someone on the campus, on college campuses, talking to these young people about empowering them, the students, to register and then to vote, they're more than likely going to vote. And then there's one of the things that I tell people all the time. Where's my phone? This phone, go through it, and everybody that you can find, everybody in your system, call them and ask them, did you vote? Are you registered to vote? Whatever. But you will be surprised. All of us probably have thousands of names in our phone that we can just go through. And if we find out that those 1,000 people, no matter where they live, voted, that is important. And the other thing that I tell people all the time that they need to do is go to this called rock the vote. I
All
don't know
right.
if you all have seen that.
Yeah.
I love that because that makes it possible for people to get registered. And that has been a great help to so many people. So that is the kind of things that I do all the time to be able to get people ready to go out there and vote.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you a little story about just something that just happened to me, if you don't mind for a second.
Sure. Sure.
Okay. I had someone to put up some little false things that they had no business doing because it wasn't true. And That was yesterday. I put it up there and I said, I'm not going to do a smear campaign for anybody. I said, because this is a nice person that's running and he has a right to run too. And I'm not going to do it. As of last night, I had over 300 text messages.
Wow.
And so I said, well, you know what? That person helped me. I was able to get some more people that I didn't even think about that was going to vote. We support you. And so that's why I tell you, social media is one of the best things that you can do to be able to support what you believe in.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay. Coach Johnson, got a follow up for that particular?
No, I think she nailed most of it.
Okay. Now, for a shameless plug here, we will represent it. I have on tomorrow. Students from college campus will be on tomorrow, and we're going to talk about getting them registered to vote, and also someone that represents the military base as well. So I'm glad that you highlighted that. All
And
right.
military base, what
Yeah,
time is that?
it's at 7 tomorrow.
Today.
7. Yeah. So okay. All right. Our second question: what would be the procedures for early voting in South Carolina? And I know you guys just got out of session at the State House. I don't know if it changed. I know it's been up in the air. I know people don't care about our virus and all this kind of stuff. So help us to understand what is the early voting in South Carolina is going to be like, and what do you suggest we do?
Let me tell you, early voting permits citizens to cast ballots in person at a polling place prior to election. I'm telling you how this, and I want to lay it out for you.
Mhm.
In states that permit early voting, a person does not have to provide any excuse being unable to vote on election day. They don't have to have an excuse for it. And as of August the 20th, 2020,
Mhm.
40 states permitted no excuse early voting in some form. South Carolina does not offer an early voting period. We're one of 10 states. 10 states in the United States of America that does not allow it. But guess what? South Carolina only allows for absentee ballot. And guess there are 17 reasons that they give you. And you go through the whole gamut from military to I'm over 65. I'm going to be out of town. I have to work. I mean, you have to list something as to why you're going to doing it. Now, thank God that we were able to take care of that particular one. And this time, a person, all they need to do is just a pandemic, the pandemic, COVID-19, whatever you put on there.
Okay.
That's what we have to do. Now, you've had several options. We looked at. You can go and pick it up yourself. You can have someone to come to your home or either help you fill it out or pick it up and drop it off for you. And then you complete the application. And after you complete the application, then you have to mail it back in. Or either, and I don't recommend mailing your ballot back in. I recommend that you have somebody to take it in for you. But the person can only be a family member, spouse, or child, or whatever. These are the ones that can take this information back in there for you. After you fill it out, I recommend highly that you walk it in and not put it in the mail. Even though you'll be able to, this year we're giving 3 stamps to put on there so that you won't have problems. That is not the problem. The problem is, will it get there? And that I can't promise anybody that it will get there. I'm hoping that all over the United States of America that people will realize the importance of people being able to vote and allow them to vote. But I can't tell you that it's going to happen at all because number one, there are many things that are going wrong right now. In fact, they caught someone the other day throwing some ballots away. So it's important for you to get your ballot and make your ballot count. So what I recommend people do is just to take it in themselves or have someone to fill out that little yellow form. There's a yellow sheet. The person who's taking it in can sign off on it and then turn it in for you.
Okay.
And also one other thing too, people can do, if they want to, they can go up there. They don't even have to get out their car. They'll come to the car and do whatever's necessary to get your vote. for you to vote.
Okay. With the elephant in the room, I'm gonna see if Coach Johnson can follow that up, and I may ask it if you don't get it. I think I feel you.
No ask.
Go ask her.
No, no, all I was going to say is I actually filled out for my absentee ballot this past weekend. So I sent that in the mail, and hopefully I'll get my actual ballot back. So I've changed my mind. I wasn't going to do it. I was going to do in person, but I said I'll give this a shot. So,
Well, it's okay to pick up your ballot. That's not the problem. And you're filling out the ballot and turn it. It is will your form get to you. When you finish your last part and you get your actual ballot, fill out your ballot and turn it in. Will it get to you? Will it get back to the registration office? That's the major problem that I think is the biggest thing.
So, Coach Johnson, so you're thinking about mailing it in, right? Is what you're saying?
actually, I think I was going to just drop it off
Yes,
myself.
that's okay. That's all right.
I
Drop
reckon
it off.
I recognize how slow the postal system is right now, and how overworked they are right now, and there's probably more of a chance of it being lost or delayed or something of that nature. So
Well, I know that I am going to go up to the office and I'm going to vote. And that way I can assure myself that my vote counted. I do worry a lot about people putting it in the mail, and only because of the many things that have been said already about what happens with the mail, and even now people having problems with in certain states. I do worry about that, and not sure whose votes are going into the trash.
Oh, okay. Wow. And so that was going to be my question. What are the concerns that we should be concerned about as citizens about the mailing?
Whether it's going to get to the registration office,
Tell us some tricks.
Well, one of the things I can tell you
Some of Trump's tricks, perhaps.
Well, I can't say what his tricks are, but I gave you some ideas. I gave you some a few minutes ago, and that was ones that I was talking about agendas.
Okay.
The agendas that are being done to keep people from actually being able to vote, which is really wrong, when you think about it. And how many people would try their best if they were really concerned about people voting, that make them go have somebody come into their home as a witness, and you're sitting here talking about the pandemic, and then it's still saying a person must come to your home and you sign off on it, that they witness you signing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all these 30, 40, 50 million votes. How are you going to know who did that?
Okay. Well,
we put ourselves, but that's for the purpose of saying, well, if they're going to make me have somebody in this pandemic, I'm not going to have them come at my house. I'm just not going to vote.
Mm. Okay.
So you think people still,
they're fearful.
Even if they don't mail it, you think they won't go in person? Is that
Some people can't go in person, because of their illness, they cannot. And that's why I always say that if you have a family member or someone that cannot, you come in and you take care of that person. You take their ballots for them. And there's a yellow form that they give you to sign off on, that you're bringing it back to the registration office. Sign it and take it in. And then that person was able to, that vote counted. And I'm sure a lot of people are still going to use the mailing system, but it's just a little fearful for me to do it. Now, and I'm not going to be one to tell people what to do or how to do it. I'm just going to tell you, this is something that concerns me greatly.
Well, I hear you say that, and to be honest, I know Dr. White said Trump, but that is what Trump's talking point is, right? That the integrity of the mail-in ballots will be, compromised, and there'll be fraud as a result. So it sounds kind of like the same talking point a little bit, but I guess
it's not.
My thing is,
I'm more worried about what he's going to do than, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about when you change the postal system, what is his position?
Postmaster.
The postmaster, when they changed and put him and look at the things that was done in the beginning when he came in there. Think about what he did. He started closing down certain areas. Instead of 3 hours to sort through the mail, he gave them 45 minutes. He took away a lot of the boxes that they were separating the mail into. That's what I'm talking about. Not so much what believing anything that our that the president has said. It is what he allowed to happen to keep people from being able to make sure that their vote count.
And so his fear was, I think in some states, South Carolina's not one, but in some states, they sent out or will send out a ballot no matter what to each person. Now it's up to them whether they return it or not, but they send it to everyone. I think, and his fear is if that happened in every state, and he's made it known, there will never be another Republican to win a race. His words exactly, because I think he understands that by and large, the popular vote, I think we saw in 2016 between Hillary and him, almost a million vote difference there. If you send ballots to every home, I think if they return them, odds are there'll be more of the same there. So he's looking at the electoral college and try to win there. And so I guess for me, when I hear us not confident in the postal system, are we going to make sure we educate and really drive home to people about taking it in person? Because this is the first time I've heard someone stress that.
I sincerely, I believe that we need to educate. And let me tell you, my only fear, and I still say that, is that I worry that when all these places that they've been closing up, they've been laying off people from the postal services, and that's the part that bothers me. Not the stuff that he's doing, because he's causing it. When you really think about, when he bring a person in and all of a sudden people are losing their jobs, they don't need as many. When you're closing down and then you're going in and removing the boxes that they used to separate them. When you take a person that's been taking 2 hours to be able to sort the mail and say you got to do it in 45 minutes, what do you think is happening to the mail? Not so much, I don't believe 2 cents of what he's saying. I'm saying that we just need to be careful and check to make sure our ballots get there. And the only way that I know my ballot is going to be there is if I take it in. Now, people can do whatever they so desire, but that's just how I feel, because I know what I see daily on there, and it's a constant argument with people. Did my ballot get there? Did this happen? Will it get there? But if you trust the system, I think people should do whatever they want to do.
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, when I was on there, I noticed there's a way to track your ballot. I'm of the assumption that when your ballot comes to you, it'll have a barcode or some type of reader, and you'll be able to go on the voting website and track your ballot. Apparently, now that's what I believe I saw up there. So
did you see what happened yesterday?
With what?
With the mail, and a lot of the ballots were there.
In which state? I don't know.
I can't remember.
With a military base at one point, maybe some ballots.
No, it wasn't a military base. It was not on a military base. They just found a bunch of them that was in there, and one of the workers there were putting them in a different type of bag. So go back and read it.
And that's the issue I think that we've had, because the post office has become so politicized. Now we have to have almost oversight within there at each office from the actual postmaster at each office to ensure that there's some integrity there. So I do understand where that is. I guess I just don't want people to be afraid to.
I don't want them to be afraid of taking it in. But if you ask me which one that I think that I would prefer getting someone to take it in for you. But people have to do whatever they so desire. I don't want anyone to be afraid of using the system. I am just telling you the fear that I have that with the postal system now, with the things that are happening. And not because of him. Please don't get the wrong impression, because it has nothing to do with President Trump. It has to do with making sure that people votes are counted.
Okay. All right. And let's go to and ask about, let's see, what are some of the ways we can get people to the polls while maintaining our social norm? And I think you probably mentioned that about
Yeah.
taking people. Okay.
Mhm.
And
You know, one of the things that I tell people now, the ways that we can make sure to maintain social norms is to make sure that we teach our people that that number one, once you go in there, they're going to follow all the guidelines. They're going to make sure that they have to sanitize. They're going to make sure that they're 6 feet apart. They're going to make sure that they follow all the guidelines of only so many can go in at one time. So these are the things that I feel that we should continue to make sure people understand that they will have to follow the guidelines that are set up by the PPP for making sure that we keep people safe, you know, and I am sure that is going to happen because right now, as of the other day, they were going through this with the people that were poll watchers, the poll workers, the people who work at the registration office, going through those things, letting them know what they need to do in order to keep people safe.
okay.
And one of the other things too, I
Mhm.
need to mention, if you're concerned about it and you want to, all you need to do is go and pull up to the office, and will come out and vote that person who may be very fearful. But that has to be the day before the third. Anytime before the third, you can do that.
Okay. Anytime before the third.
Right, because on the third, now you're not gonna be able to go up to the office and just do that. You can't do that. You're gonna have to do it before that time.
Okay.
I think there was a question or something somebody put in the chat. Did you see it?
Um, let's see which one.
I think they were saying that they have a
Oh,
box outside for the absentee ballot where you could drop it in your ballot. I think
Let
that
me tell you, they did away with it, and we had that too. And they ordered all those for South Carolina. And when we were in session last week, they refused to use the boxes, said because they were fearful that somebody would destroy boxes, and they voted against it. Even though we voted that the boxes should be set up in different areas and then pick up on a daily basis, they out all that money that was spent. They made the decision and it was voted down with the Democrats saying yes and the Republicans saying no.
wow.
So we won't have that.
Was
At
it
all.
was it
I'm sorry.
straight line? Was it a straight line vote on that issue?
straight party line.
Straight
Yes.
party line? Wow.
Yes.
And that goes back to the agenda, I would assume. Okay. All right. We have a young lady. She says she'll vote and take her mother's ballot in. All right.
Is that what she's saying?
She's saying that she will vote and take her mother's ballot in.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And she'll be able to do that, right? You had some thought. Seemed like you had a thought there.
You know, I think that is excellent. I think that is excellent. I think as many people as you possibly can to help other people to get to the poll, help them to get there. I am encouraged, and I want to make sure that I let the push it. I'm
Johnson?
sorry, Johnson, Mr. Johnson. I want you to know I am encouraging people to go and vote early as much as I possibly can. I would love to know that most people had already voted before November the 3rd. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, along with many of the Divine Nine, we are adopted all of October and said that is when we want people to vote. Don't pick a November 3rd as your date. Make sure that it's the whole month and get people to the polls. So that's what I'm encouraging more than anything else.
Yes. And that's our purpose too on this show is to first all week try to push the agenda to register, but all of October we'll be pushing the early vote to vote. October is our voting. So when November gets here, hopefully across the states we already have a decision made. Hopefully. All right. Let's see. There was one more in the chat that I thought was interesting. If we can just here we go. Okay, there's someone that will be voting in person. All right, and I encourage any questions at this time because we're nearing a close. So if you would put your question in the chat, I greatly appreciate it. We have,
Can I
can I
vote early?
vote early?
If not, I would like to encourage people. We have
What's the,
many people that are in nursing homes, residential care, or that facilities that we need to sincerely help them to be able to get their votes there too. They may not be able to come out, and I encourage family members to go in and make sure that they help them fill out those ballots and then get them into them, and then be able to get back and come back in and then help them to be able to fill it out.
Representative, can
I
you give me that
heard
deadline?
earlier.
Before, just a second, Coach Johnson, if I can type in this deadline, because that Ms. Poe, I think it is asking for the early date.
You're starting October the 5th.
Okay.
October the 5th is the first. We had it for the 28th, but they went back in and they it was about party lines again. And they did away with starting in September the 28th and went back to October the 5th.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
October 3rd is the deadline, correct? To register?
To register, yes, sir.
I think there's a question down there in the box from that.
Okay, I see you. And you go ahead with your thought, Coach Johnson, while I'm getting this out.
I can't remember now, Doc.
I'm sorry. My wife normally does this part of the production.
That's okay.
So, yeah. So October the 5th.
I'm just trying to see if there are any others that come into your chat area that I can answer.
Okay.
It says, I will be there.
Yes. Early vote. Thank you, Miss Poe. I hope I'm correct pronouncing that correctly.
Poe?
Poe, yeah. What is the deadline to register to?
I think you just mentioned it.
Okay, October the 3rd. That's what you was in reference to.
And I think it's, if I was them, what is the second on?
The second is on Friday, I believe it is.
I would do it because I don't know if it's open on that Saturday. So I will make it October the 2nd just to be on the safe side.
Okay.
I don't have my calendar before me, but I will make it sure that it's a date that's from 9 to 5.
Okay.
And this is more of as an aside. Now I remember what I was going to ask. With the tactics and the straight party line voting that's happening, I've been saying I think it's a signal that in South Carolina, we actually finally, for first time at least, I'm 31, and I've not seen Republicans in this state too fearful of many elections, but it seems as if there's a true angst, if you will, amongst them. Even Lindsey Graham's in a tight race. So I think for the first time, I feel it. So do you feel that same like voter enthusiasm that people are motivated to really vote this time around?
They are. They really are. And I see it every day. And I mean, I witness it because I'm out there and with the people all the time, especially with the food giveaway and the clothing and book bags and everything else that I'm out there with them. I get a chance to talk to a lot of people, and it is, everybody's motivated to vote this time. I mean, I think it was yesterday or the day before, it's like 75 new registered voters. I mean, don't even really have to worry about it. I have people on the ground working to get these people registered. But I mean, it's like I need to do something, and I need to have my voice, and I need my power. And that's what I tell people all the time. Voting is power. If you don't vote, don't complain at all, because that is, you're giving away your power.
And what would you attribute that to? This enthusiasm, this energy. What would you attribute it to?
I think seeing the things that have with Black Lives Matter is a big point, and seeing how the criminal system need to be overhauled. I see that all the time. That's a major issue that people talk about. It needs a monumental overhaul. Racial issues that are there now, and that it's going to probably take years and years to even recover from. the hate crimes that are going on. So a lot of that is the reason what I'm thinking that is taking place that's causing people to want to vote. And the idea that someone will be able to make some changes. But the fear that I have is that um, with the number of judges that are now being put in place as of this past couple of years, and you look at that decision was made on already 190 some new individuals coming into their to the system, that you have to wonder if they if things are going to change, if it's really going to change.
Okay. Um, Representatives, there could be some angst within the state of South Carolina concerning the Democratic vote. It's already that I heard for the first time
Mhm.
this morning, I think on the radio, or even, no, it was television, news, morning news, that stated that Trump or the Republic, well, I ain't gonna say Republican Party, but Trump was up 10 points over Biden in South Carolina. Um, what can you tell us to comfort us that we still must get out to vote?
You just said it.
Oh,
You put it in your own words, and you're right. If you think somebody's 10 points ahead, then that should tell us that we need to get out. I did not hear that today, Dr. White, but
yes,
I'm glad that you pointed it out. That is something I will be using to say, you all, if you want the same thing that you always have, then you stay home. If you want to change, then you need to get out and vote. You need to get registered and you need to vote. You know, but I'm going to go and find that today, and I'm so glad you pointed that out to
yes,
me. Yeah,
yes,
but this is my first time hearing that particular
yes.
statement.
Well, with that said, then I guess I'll point out what it was said in connection to, which I can't understand just yet. And it was in connection that even though Trump is up 10%, 10 points, um, statistically, Lindsey and Harris are in a tie.
That's right.
So what
Right.
kind of got me off tittle there is if the Republican vote there is 10 points, but how can that Republican vote be a tie with the Democratic vote? Can you
I'm
elaborate
not
on what may be going on there with
I'm
that?
not sure why, but I can tell you something that Lindsey Graham said the other day when he said, "People just don't like me," you know, and so those were his words. So as to the reason, and to be honest with you, um, I listen to polls, but you know what? I listen to the people more than I listen to the polls. I found that polls sometimes give people an idea of you better get out there and do better.
Hmm.
We need to get you out there. You need to get out there.
Right.
So what I will use this for what you just said, and I thank you for it. I'm going to use that when I talk this week, and when I put on there that if it's 10% more, then I'm going to use that to my benefit
Yeah,
and
10
to the
points.
benefit of them too, to talk about you see what you need to do. Now, if you want to continue with what you have, okay, then that's up to you. But right now, you're telling me all the things that you see that need to be changed. And so, if you want them changed, you're going to have to get out there. And one other thing that we are encouraging people to do, that everybody that we get registered, that we're telling them to go and find 8 more people or 10 more people and then help them get registered. We're telling our sorority members that you need to get 20 more people registered or either make sure that they get out and vote. We're telling our pastors that we have formed a book, a playbook on giving them a play by play of what they need to be doing to get out the vote. And we're making sure that they understand all those things that used to be said about you can't, the pastors can't do in the churches because they will take away your 501c3. Go back and read the law. That is not what it says. They have a right to talk about it. They just cannot endorse somebody. And somehow or another, that message has been changed around. People need to go back and read it and find out that your pastors in the past and hopefully in the future will be ones to motivate people to get out the vote.
That's Coach Johnson's soapbox right there with you.
We're on the same page.
Yeah. Okay, and we'll get you out of here on this. We'll ask you about the importance of the census. Why is it so important?
I'm glad you asked me that. You know, one of the things that people have a tendency to fail to understand, and I wrote something down so that I won't even forget it. Congressional seats are decided. You have your legislative seats that are your cities, your school lines are drawn because of the census. Federal dollars, if nothing else, get your federal and state dollars that are coming into your county is based upon the census. Everything that you possibly can think of, Medicaid, Section 8 vouchers of your healthcare centers that will be moved into, can come into your community, student loans, the national school lunch program, your Head Start program, your crime victim assistance program, your business loans, all of those things, and reapportionment. And people can't forget that's going to be starting in 2021. All these things are involved in the census. And one of the things I always point out to people to tell them, when you think about it, and I thought it was 1,500, and somebody informed me the other day that it was $3,000 that you know, for a person, $3,000 that you get per person. In 2010, we failed to count children that were 5 years old and under. We lost a lot of money because of that. And the reason for it is because those children were not in school. The school would take care of the ones that are in there, like in kindergarten on up. But the ones that are home with their parents, and the parents failed to even to fill out the census, we lost a lot of money. But I always tell people to look at it from this standpoint. If you look at it from the standpoint of $3,000 per person times 400 people that did not fill out their form, that's $12 million that doesn't come to your state. And that's how much, it's just 400 people can cost that in a 10-year period. So I tell people that it is extremely important, because the things that you have come to appreciate, like your restaurants make a decision based upon the census too, whether they come into a small rural town, or they're going to some place like Spartanburg or Myrtle Beach or Florence area, based upon the census. So I encourage everyone to get out there, because it's extremely, extremely important. All your resources that you get in town. If people are going to come in and build new stores, grocery stores, and all those things, it's decided by the census.
Okay. All
But
right.
I do want to go back one more thing, because I got to get Mr. Johnson one more time. I hope you don't think that I am saying that I don't want people to fill out their forms and send it by mail. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm skeptical of people doing it. And as much as I possibly can, I do encourage them to take their ballots in to the polls. Now, the difference between mine and your president, he's saying either way, he doesn't trust it. And I'm saying, I just want to make sure, especially when you do such a turn and get someone who has given a person millions of dollars for his campaign. And yet he put that person in authority. And the first week, you start tearing down before you even know what things need to be done in a place. You don't even have that information, but yet you start taking boxes away and short timing people. So those are the concerns that I have.
Well, I agree with you. That's why I asked you the question. Want your honest opinion?
Yeah.
And we appreciate that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've been feeling kind of leery too. I just anxious about it. So the best thing to do is comfort my angst. Is go ahead and pick it in.
That's exactly.
We have one more question, I think. We had discussed on the minimum campaign signs for Biden and Harris. Where can we find yard signs. And with that said, Biden and Harris also of Henegan. I haven't seen your signs on this end.
Well, you better come get some, because I'm gonna tell you,
Uh-oh.
everywhere I look, people have my signs, and I still have some. So if you need it, I'll make sure. Where can I drop them off to you?
Well,
Send
I spend most of my days at Long Middle School. If you got somebody to drop it by there,
I'll make sure that you get
or
it tomorrow. How
or you
many
can
you
drop it
need?
at the porch of Goodman Creek Baptist Church. I will.
Good and creek. She'll put it down for me and do
Okay.
it. We'll make sure that you get them, because I know, and in fact, I'm gonna have to take about 25 over to Helen Palmer. You know Miss Palmer,
Okay.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. But I'll get them to Goodman Creek for you. Or either I drop them at Long School, whatever. One or the other, you will have them tomorrow.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And Linda, Linda asked that question. Well, let me know.
Biden
You get them
campaign.
to you, Linda.
All you need to do, if you want a Biden Harris I could think it said Biden Harris.
Yes.
Do you know Beth Wicker?
Yes.
Beth Wicker has those signs.
Okay.
I bought them back from Columbia for her, and
Okay.
she's over the Democratic Party.
Yes. All right. We'll get in touch with
Okay.
Beth for you, Linda. If you remind me, Linda was supposed to be on with us tomorrow, but she's haven't been feeling well. So
So sorry,
okay.
baby.
Yes, that's struggling with her lungs, I think it is. All right. Okay. Coach Johnson, anything you wanted to ask before we see the representative on?
No, I just want to thank you, Ms. Henegan, for coming on and sharing with us why voting matters and what things we can do to make our votes count. And I appreciate you cleaning that up for us a little bit there. And but I think in this time we hear so much about the post office
Right.
that it's very important that we be pretty succinct about what we're saying, because it can all start to sound the same. But I will say in the post office issue that the courts have required a lot of that to be reversed. The only thing that hasn't been reversed is the actual machines that he scrapped to use for parts for other machines that he says can't be put back together. So it was very strategic. It was very deliberate. And they took those machines apart and moved parts to other machines to be sure that they can't be put back together. So that is a very valid concern when it
How
comes
about
down.
the new ones they had? They removed some new ones too.
Yes. So very valid concern when it comes down to the sorting machines and what have you. So, but I do want people to, if you are going to do absentee, I still want you to be encouraged to do that.
Right.
All right.
And I thank you to Mr. Johnson. And I want people to feel free to do whatever they think is best. But I still say the week before, you check on your ballot. Call up there and make sure that it is in there, because I do worry about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay. And so the same with me, Representative. Thank you so much for your time. I'm glad people probably get to meet you for the first time. I'm not sure if everybody knows you. I know Coach Johnson, this is probably your first time being affiliated, and then we have people that move in, and
Right.
and so thank you for the opportunity. I want to also make sure that we understand District 54. What counties do that cover?
That covers part of Darlington County, part of Chirag. Well, it takes in Chirag area, Cache, Menadolph, and a portion of the Pageland area, just a small amount of there. The other ones is Richie Yow's area. In Darlington, it is, I think, Green Hill. I think that's the name of it. Endicott. I get all those names mixed up because they're named after churches. But in Marlborough County, it is the full Marlborough County, except for just a tiny part that belongs to in Clio area and a small portion in McCall. So basically, in Bennettsville, McCall, Wallace, Blenheim, Clio, Tatum areas are mine. And in Chirag area, it's the District 3, 4, and then the Menendorf area, and then Cache areas where they're voting.
Okay. All right, Rep, if there's anything you want to share in closing, you're welcome. Representative?
Okay, only thing I want to ask, I'm going to give Justin Johnson my number so he can call me so we can finish discussing this issue. because I really do. I really want to feel people to feel very comfortable with their vote.
Right. Okay. All right.
Give it to him, Dr. White.
I'll give it to him. Y'all like to talk, so y'all have fun. Okay. But we appreciate you. And anytime you want to come back on, just let us know.
Okay.
And whatever we can do to help you.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
God bless you.
God bless you too. God bless both of you.
All right. All right, Doc. Well, we are almost there. We're starting off for us the deadline. Again, it's Friday. I think that's one of the key things that we learned. And of course, understanding how important the early vote is, and concerning the mailing. So I appreciate those who have been listening today. You would ask that you would share to a friend that lives in Darlington, lives in Chesterfield County, and Marlborough County. Those are the three counties. Sound like, is that right, Doc?
Yeah. I think she said a little bit of Bennettsville.
Right. Okay. And any closing remarks you like while I'm trying to?
At the end of the day, I'll save a lot of it for the debate tomorrow, because I want to see how the taxes are going to really come into play.
Yeah.
But I think there's some serious issues there when it comes to the taxes. I think there's some serious issues when we consider that farmers have been hit hard by the tariff war that this president's had with China. And yet we see why he's willing to play these games with money and people's livelihood, because that's what he's done. I mean, and now the tax returns point to it. They point to what we've heard all this time about these contractors who have said, hey, he stiffed us, hasn't paid us, left us pretty much high and dry. That's his practice. That's what he's done for years. I got in trouble in 2016 because I'm a New Yorker, and I said, look, New Yorkers know a con man when they see one. And I called him a con man, and I don't feel bad about it today, because it's finally reared its head. And I'm anxious to see what happens tomorrow, even though I don't think many people are going to be swayed one way or the other with the debate tomorrow. But I am curious to see what he has to say about what he's done concerning his taxes. And I'm also concerned, well, not concerned, but excited to hear Biden lay forward more of his vision, more of his plan, and draw this contrast between President Trump himself. So I think that now we're kind of where I was hoping to be weeks ago, which is now we get to hear more policy. Now we get to understand where they stand.
All right, there it is right there at 10:30, from 10:30 to 11 o'clock. We're not going to keep you up long. We're going to come out punching, and the televised debate should be over right at 10:30. So it begins at 9, I think 8 or 9. Which one, Coach? You remember?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I know the coverage is going to be all day. So
yeah, the coverage will be all day. Major channels will start at 7 o'clock, and so be reminded to tune in at 10:30, and then at 7 o'clock, this Deborah feature where we have talks with Tatiana podcast. She's going to be a guest along with Greenwood County Democratic Chairman, and she's from the college, Florida University, Coach. She's from Florida University. And then we have a young man from the military out of Kentucky. So he'll be with us, and we'll be talking about getting registered on those type of campuses and bases. And lastly, I want to give a shout out to this young lady of Paralico management. She's been working hard to schedule our panelists for the month and for all this week. So she'll do you good service if you're a business owner and need some help. Helping is her passion for sure. All right. Okay, Coach.
All
Well,
right.
you need an energy drink for tomorrow?
I might.
Okay. So, all right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you guys again for being with us on tonight, and we'll see you at 7 and again at 10:30. All right. Have a good one, Coach.
All right, Doc.